We're heading back to the 31st millennium, my friends. Well, technically forward, but we are going to be painting some Heresy just in time for Heresy 3.0 dropping. This time I'm focusing on the boys in yellow, the Stronghold Defenders, the Bolter Lovers, and whose Primarch gave Nathaniel Garrow the old "what did the five fingers say to the face?" That's right, it is the Imperial Fists, and I'm going to show you a method that's quick and easy to have them looking great on the tabletop. The Imperial Fists are actually one of my favourite Loyalist legions. I just think they're neat. I'm Kieran, also known as Stacked Overdrive. Let's go. I'm using one of the Mark 6 captains for this, and like my Sons of Horus build, I'm going to start with the base. Using Siege Scenics Terra Firma and a little bit of PVA glue, and a skull from the Citadel skull box. The model is primed in black, and we move on to our first colour, which is Doombull Brown. You're going to want to cover the entire model with this, and I am using an airbrush, but you can easily do this with a brush. I'm just doing it for quickness. Our next step is really important, as we're going to want to do a white zenithal across the entire model. You're going to want to cover anywhere where the armor is going to be yellow and only leave the deepest recesses in that brown color. Again, I'm using an airbrush, but you could easily do this with a spray can of white paint. The mini should look something like this once you're done. Again, notice that the deepest recesses are still that brown color. This is maybe where you're thinking we're going to move on to yellow, but not yet, my friends, as we're going to actually move on to black to do all of the in-between armor rivets and stuff like that first. This means if you do make a mistake with the black, it is easy to fix with the white paint that we just used. Now we move on to the king of all yellow paints, Imperial Fist Contrast, and this is going to go absolutely everywhere that we want it to be yellow. And I'll say it again, you do not need to use an airbrush for this. This will go on perfectly with a brush too. Just watch out for pooling. With the majority of the armor now yellow, we can move on to some other details. I'm going to use Blood Angels Red for the eye lenses, and seeing as though this is a captain, do that cool plume on his head. Speeding through, we're going to start on the metallics, and this is for his plasma pistol and the rivets on the shoulder guard and the chest. Now be careful when you're doing this, as you don't want to get any silver paint on any of that yellow, but if you do, you just go back in with a little bit of white and a little bit of the Imperial Fist contrast. There's only a small amount of gold to paint on this model, and it is for the eagle insignia on the head and the border of the plume. We're absolutely speeding through this because we're on transfers already, so grab your microsol and microset and stick a couple of transfers on the mini. Now what would a grim dark 30k marine be without some streaking grime? We're going to want to grab an old brush and cover the entire mini with this. Not only is this going to give it a weathered look, but it will also darken some of those recesses. After around 10 or 15 minutes, we want to go back in with a cotton bud dipped in mineral spirits to remove some of the excess streaking grime. Do you have a favourite enamel paint? Let me know it down in the comments, and while you're there, give me a like and a subscribe to keep up with all the latest videos. At this point, we could call the mini done if you're looking for a tabletop standard, but there's a couple of steps that I want to focus on next that I think really elevate it. We're going to do some weathering and battle damage, so grab an old sponge and Rhinox hide, dab off the excess, and then softly dab on the areas where chipping and weathering would appear most on the mini, around about the feet, on the knees, all that good stuff. Turning our attention to the base, we're going to take a very watered down corn red and just cover the entire base with this. This acts as a great undercoat for the Martian Iron Earth technical paint, which will crack up and give it that kind of red planet vibe, which I really like for the Horus Heresy models. Can you believe we're almost on the home straight? I grab Evil Sun's Scarlet and I dry brush this on the plume, and I also highlighted the eye lenses with this too, just to make them pop that little bit more. While we have the dry brush out as well, grab yourself a bright silver and use this to highlight any of the metallics. I use this on those little black strips on the power pack too, just because I think it kind of makes it pop just a little bit more. Time to paint the rim of the base any color you want. I just used the Black Legion contrast paint, and we're moving on to our final step, which is a little bit of pigment powder. I'm using the Vallejo Burnt Umber pigment and dabbing this all over the base and making sure to get it on the mini's legs also to really incorporate it into its environment. And with that, this Imperial Fist captain is done. Ready to take down any of those traitors in the name of the Emperor. Let's take him to the light box. Hopefully this tutorial has helped you get your Imperial Fist tabletop ready in time for 3.0. 2.0 dropping. If you would like to see me tackle any of the other legions, let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But until next time, thanks for checking out the video. See you in the next one.